We're back. Greg Wolf, Matt Carothers with you here on The Morning Line on TVG. Our guest standing by. Let's bring in Tony Dutrow, and we have plenty to talk about him with, including this weekend's race, The Ruthless, where he will send out My Kind of Party. Tony, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Hey, Tony.
I'm great, Greg. And yourself?
Oh, very well, very well. We appreciate you coming on. We know you're awfully busy, and well, I guess we'll start with the stakes race coming up this weekend. And in My Kind of Party, a winner last time out. She had some trouble in that race, in that Laurel event, but able to overcome it. How significant was that at the beginning of the race, where it sounds like she bobbled a little bit, but was able to beat that 5-horse field pretty easily?
Yeah. I don't think it was much of a factor. She's pretty quick away from there, and she established a lead pretty quickly, and she was the best that day, and she ran around there well.
I mean, Tony, obviously she's going to be facing some better horses in the Ruthless as we take a look at her race from November 30th, in which she was 3-5 and went gate to wire. Facing better horses on Saturday at Aqueduct, do you just do the same thing? You know, just try to go to the front. That's her strength, not take that away from her and see what happens? Or do you try to adjust a little bit and maybe try to rate her because there's more quality and because there's probably more speed for her to deal with in this race?
Well, you got to be good enough, right? You got to be good enough. You can only protect them for so long, and she's pretty quick away from there, and that's what's on her mind. I can't see taking that natural ability that she has and hopefully advantage that she has away from her. And the inner track is generally through the years pretty good with speed.
Yep.
So I don't think that we'll let her do what she does, and she's going to break, and she's going to have run on her mind, and hopefully she's good enough. And that's pretty much it.
She hasn't had a problem moving around, has she? I mean, good performance at Saratoga, win at Parks, good performance at Delaware, win at Laurel, so that's not an issue.
No, she's good with that. She likes what she's doing. She doesn't mind getting on the truck. She's good. Any surface has been good for her, and so far she's been really, really good. She keeps getting a little better. We think she's getting a little better, and we're real happy with the way she's trained. And I'm looking forward to running her tomorrow.
That's what we like to hear. This is going to be her fifth start, her fifth different racetrack. At some point, do you see maybe, I mean, how far out have you plotted her path? You see stretching her out down the line?
I think you can do that with a little better horse. I hope My Kind of Party continues to get better, and none of us really know the destiny of these horses, but that's a little more practical and a little easier to do with the real horse. But with My Kind of Party, we're step by step so far.
Well, speaking of really good horses, you train so many ways, whom, you know, lightly raced, just turned 3-year-old, who's already a multiple grade stake winner and a grade 1 winner. I was there at Saratoga watching her impressive win in the grade 1 spinaway. What happened to her out of this race, and how is she progressing? Because we hear that she's just starting to go back into training.
Well, nothing happened to her. Maggie Moss, the wonderful Maggie Moss.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, if you know Maggie, you love Maggie.
I know Maggie, she's great.
You bet. She is great. Great gal and great for horse racing. She's not the only one, but she is a good one. And she simply thought that her filly had done enough. She ran 3 times this summer, twice at Saratoga, and Maggie thought that her filly had done enough for now. And had the Breeders' Cup been on the East Coast, I think Maggie would have been shown interest. I don't know that. That was never discussed. But because it was in California and all the way across country, Maggie did not want to do that with her filly. And at that point, there was no more great goals to achieve at that point, and we were putting our focus on a nice 3-year-old season, and that's what we're hopeful for.
Well, doing right by the horse and not deciding to push her too hard, that went into it, I'm sure, and Maggie certainly was all for that. Now you have a horse that has, well, sky's the limit for the 3-year-old campaign. What about this horse? I know this horse came to you during Saratoga, and from what I had heard you saying, just really progressed very rapidly, and this turned out to be, unfortunately, Sightseeing, we know, has passed away, but just the first stakes winner, graded stakes winner, and the first winner for Sightseeing, but was so good right out of the box.
Well, Maggie sent so many ways to us right from Frank Smith's Ellery Training Center. So we had her since May. And she was a very precocious, very intelligent. She knew what was going on before she ran. So she was at least one of the, I don't want to say she's ahead of her generation last summer, but she was among the precocious and smartest of her generation last summer. We need to see how that ends up as her generation may catch up with her in her 3-year-old year. But so many ways knew what to do. First day she stepped into my barn, Frank Smith did a wonderful job with that filly.
Tony, we're going to transition a little bit to your brother Rick, and I know it's obviously a difficult topic. In terms of what he is going through right now. On Tuesday, New York Court of Appeals, the second time in 3 months, would not hear his most recent appeal of a 10-year suspension. Apparently, your brother is going to go to the federal court with this. How is he doing right now? This has been such a long process for him. We're going back to what, November of 2011? This had to have taken its toll on him, especially for this kind of duration when we're talking about 14, 15 months.
Matt, I'm going to take this question on, not for myself, but for racing, for TVG, for the fans of racing, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm so saddened by this decision. Me and both my brothers, I have 2 brothers, we're all close together in age, and we couldn't be better friends, and we're together every day, and we've been together every day in my daddy's barn, and my daddy has such a legacy, or at least we believe he does, and we have all been in that barn of my father's since the beginning, and Ricky is not going to be able to be in the barn it looks like Ricky's not going to be able to be in the barn much longer. And that saddens me. I'm helpless for my brother. I am not angry at anyone. I understand that Ricky could have been a little kinder at times. And by the same token, I wish the horse racing industry could have gotten Ricky's attention in a bit of a kinder way. But once again, none of those decisions were under my control. So I'm not angry. I understand it all. I'm just so saddened for my brother. That's my position. Now, for my brother Ricky, my brother Ricky is such an incredible person, and he's been that way his entire life. If you know Ricky, you know what I'm talking about.
He's a real positive guy, right, in general?
He is such a positive person, and he's such a positive person. We all knew Ricky was destined for big things when we were all little kids, and Ricky's attitude continues to be so positive, so full of energy. I think Ricky right now still is very hopeful and believes that somehow, some way, he will continue to do what he loves. I think that sums up how Ricky is feeling right now.
And I know, I mean, obviously, your entire family loves this game. You put so much into this game. And I've been able to meet him after, I believe, after his Breeders' Cup win, and he is such a positive person. He just exudes that kind of positivity when you're around him. You can't help but get kind of drawn in by it. But has he given any thought to, if this doesn't go his way ultimately, now that it's starting to sink in a little bit, what he might do?
You know, that's never come up because we know Ricky, and we respect Ricky being Ricky. And Ricky's believing that he will somehow be able to continue on some way, and that type of question has never come up.
Well, Tony, I know it's difficult for you to talk about. We appreciate you coming on. We appreciate your candor.
Yeah.
And best of luck, not only with this situation, but obviously with your future as well, and all the great horses that you have in your barn, but certainly with your family and with Rick as well.
Well, thank you so much. So kind of you. In closing, Ricky's not for everybody. I understand that, but Ricky, there's a lot of good stuff with Ricky. And once again, thank you so much for having me on. And great TVG fan. So you guys keep it going.
No, thank you, Tony.
No, we appreciate that. All right, take care and best of luck this weekend.
Sure, thanks.
Tony Dutrow.
What a sweet man.
Yes, I mean, that has to be so hard to deal with. It's been going on, what, 15 months now with Rick, and that's the latest. I mean, you told us the update, and others have come out in support of Rick as well. Frank Labacetta, who's an assistant for David Jacobson, came out and said he didn't think it was fair, the treatment that Rick is getting as well. He's one of the best trainers in New York, a good person, but we'll see how it's going to play out, and it looks like it could wind up wrapping up here, a final decision in the next week or couple of weeks.
Yeah, it looks like he needs